Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great.
Oh, good.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, so today we're going to work on episode number 2 of America Made Rock Crawler. And today we've got a very special guest. We have Julene from Summit Machine. We're actually going to head out to her shop and check things out there and get a little bit to know her better and see around what she's got working on. Isn't that exciting?
So excited. I love to
So
see Julene.
excited.
Yeah,
You got
she's
your
amazing.
Summit Machine jacket on.
I do have my Summit Machine jacket. Oh, my hair's probably in the way.
Very cool. We have a couple things I want to show you real quick. So she does links, aluminum links. And this is some aluminum links she's done for me. I have custom engraving, the 22 Jeep and the Summit Machine logo on there. Very cool. And then we actually have had steering done for both Jeeps. This is a steering setup that I have for... You hold the camera.
Oh, well, I'd love to hold the camera.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
We have this tie rod that we have for the LJ. So, and we're going to show you lots more when we get out there. So we're going to head out there, and we'll pick up the video from there. We'll see you out there.
See you soon. Bye.
Ciao for now. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of America Made Rock Crawler, and we are on location at Summit Machine with Julene.
Howdy.
We're going to talk to her a little bit about her business today. I don't know how much you know about Summit Machine, but I have been a customer of theirs for the last several years, and all of the builds that I have been done in the last few years and will do, this is one of the first places I'm going for suspension joints, links, steering links, anything in that area. Like when I don't know about you, but like there's different ways to set up a suspension. You can call a big company and they can provide you with all your links and all your measurements and all your joints and all the brackets and everything. When I do it, I like to set it up where I want it set up and then figure out what I'm going to need for links or joints. And then usually I would tell you and you would send them to me where I come pick them up.
Yep.
And so that's the difference right there. And some people don't like to go through that process, but I'm telling you, I think that's where you get the best geometry and the best equipment that you can build. So there we go. I forget what I was going to ask you. How did Summit Machine get started?
Well, it was a long time ago. This is our 26th year in business, so
Okay.
I was 25, which is like a lifetime ago when I think about it. But so I grew up with my father owning a machine shop.
Okay.
And I had to go to work every Saturday, clean the shop. He would bring home boxes of parts, and I had to deburr them. I hated it. I was going to be an accountant, and that's what I went to school for. But then somewhere along that line, I met an individual, and then we ended up starting Summit Machine together. So because my father owned the business, it made it kind of an easy transition. We could go ahead and just buy the equipment that existed because he was going to be retiring. And we started Summit Machine. So it was a business partner and myself. My business partner had the machining skills. I came with the administrative background at that point, so I was doing all of the bookkeeping, all of the administration, ordering, bill paying, background stuff. And so it was kind of a good 50-50 deal in the beginning stages. And this was we officially started in July of 99, incorporated April of 2000. So, but just sort of not the path I was going to go down, but the path came back to me, even though I was like, not going to do it. But here I am.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. That did make me to think of a couple of things. So I think a lot of people in the off-road business may or may not know, but Summit Machine is not specifically an off-road business. It's a machine shop, right?
Yes. Yep. I work very hard to make that distinction when I talk to people because I don't work on vehicles. I don't make lift kits like you talked about. Other companies provide these kits that people can buy, that they can work on their Jeep, their Bronco, their whatever. Those companies do a fantastic job. They have done amazing R&D, and I will never take anything from them, and I don't do what they do. What I do is pretty much two big scenarios. Like you said, people who are just homebrew from the start. They don't want to start with a kit. They want to start and do everything on their own. We come in with the joints and the arms to make, as far as the off-road side of Summit Machine. And then that goes on your vehicle. In the other scenario, these big companies put out these kits which provide, good, adequate to good parts in the kits with your arms and your joints and all of that good stuff. But then people go out, use them, break them, bend them, ruin them,
Sure.
replace them, and then they get in this cycle where it's like, I'm tired of replacing steel arms. I'm tired of replacing joints that keep blowing apart. I'm tired of joints that squeak. I'm tired of joints that don't do what I want them to do, or I have to address them every 3 months, or whatever the case is. That's where we can come in and we can just provide an upgrade to your existing system, because the other systems are fantastic that people make.
Right.
We can just give you upgraded parts.
And that's kind of, that reminds me of when I first started talking to you, because I was going through joints after joints from different companies, and I won't talk about the names because I'm not going to do that. But what I will say is I've tried a lot of joints out there, and since switching to Summit Machine joints, I think the current joints, I think they've been on there 2 years, and I've rebuilt zero, and I've put grease in them maybe every 6 months, and they're quiet, they work, they do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And that's nice, because when you go to an event, or especially like when I go to events, I go to like a week-long wheeling trips. The last thing you want to do is work on a vehicle during a trip.
Right. You have an expectation to go and wheel.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be repairing stuff or fixing stuff. And I get it. And a lot of people are in that same boat where they've tried a lot of joints. We're small. We're not widely known. I think we definitely are more known, obviously, than we have been. Every year we get more and more known. But no, it is word of mouth. People say, I'm tired of these joints wearing out. I'm tired of rebuilding these. I'm tired of the noise. I'm tired of the clunking, whatever the case is. They get directed to us, and most of the time I have some pretty long-term happy customers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the more you've been around, at least in my opinion, I feel like the people that know the Summit Machine are some of the people that have been in the industry or been around the off-road scene longer and have gone through what you're talking about. Some of the people that maybe if you're new to the off-road scene or you're on your first build and you don't really know because you've never experienced the frustration of going through parts.
Right.
Those people may know less about Summit Machine, and so hopefully we can get some more people to know about Summit Machine.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you, as far as running a small business, I mean, we're going to be featuring small businesses, American-made products. What do you think is the hardest part about running a small business today?
Money and time.
Money and time.
Money and time. It truly is. Man, I always joke I need a cloning machine, but then I follow that up with nobody wants more than one of me. I am well aware. I think the world might spin out of its axis at that point if there was more than one of me. I say that jokingly, but it's always about capital and time management. So small business only, we don't have deep pockets. I don't have deep pockets. I am self-funded. I am a single shareholder. I'm the person that has all the purse strings. So when we have a new product development to launch, or if we're going to go that route, it is a lot more impactful than a company who's pulling in $50 million a year versus my small percentage of that. And a schedule makes it harder to, when we're trying to crank parts out and get people's deliveries made, it's hard to fit in new stuff. So it's always time, it's always money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
making sure you can make enough to pay people a really good wage and provide them, a lifestyle and a benefit that they're worthy of if they're going to give you their time. All of that stuff.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, that gets misplaced sometimes. And I don't blame people for doing it, but you kind of go into the cost analysis when you're looking and you're building an off-road project, whether it's a buggy, whether it's a Jeep, whether it's an Overland, or whatever it is. When you're going into building that and you're looking at parts that you want to buy for it and you want to build it, a lot of those things never cross your mind, but I have found that the small companies that are doing amazing things, the price point may be a little bit higher, but in the long run, you're spending less because you're not replacing those parts. And so that comes up, like, why is the price point higher? Well, small businesses are in completely different environments than large businesses. And I've always been somebody who feels good about spending my money in that area because I'm willing to pay more for a better product and not have to replace it. And so there's all sorts of factors that goes into pricing, but I think that's part of some of those challenges go into the cost of doing business. And when you're a small business, you can't buy on the scale of these huge conglomerates either. So
Yeah, no, for sure, volume and being made in the USA are two areas that always will affect your price. I can't, my shop is what it is. It's wonderful. We crank out amazing stuff, but it has a capacity that can only do so much. And everything here that we make is touched by a person who knows how to measure, who knows how to use calipers, who knows how to check threads. So you're getting the quality on that side, but you're going to get a lower volume because we take more time per part to make sure everything is made exactly right. There is no sending it overseas and there's somebody in someplace somewhere that is cranking it out for 7 cents an hour for materials that can be questionable in their integrity. I source everything from U.S. mills, whether it be, there's a couple of areas where I'm still struggling with U.S. mills in some of the steel realms, but all the aluminum, all the steel always comes from U.S. mills. Everything's made here. And we just have a low volume. So if we could crank out 5,000 parts and have them made out of Malaysia, we would lose quality, but we would increase our profitability. And I'm just not willing to do that.
I think, and that's the type of people that I want to do business with. And I think a lot of people out there feel the same. Because a lot of those stuff you're talking about, people that are measuring the calipers and the staff knowing how to do things here, I think that those big companies out there, I'm sure a lot of that stuff in, Malaysia or China is just done by machine. Like they just have robots doing most of the work.
Well, there's that, but there's also, like, if you look at China, they're a communist nation.
Right.
The companies are effectively owned by the government.
Right.
So when the company makes a part that doesn't meet specification, well, first off, there's a U.S. based company that just got 2 containers full of a part. They've been waiting 7, 8, 9 months for said part. They get it, it's out of spec. What are they going to do with $1 million worth of product? They still have to ROI it. They have to be able to sell it. So it gets out on the market. Its quality is low. Who are you going to hold responsible in China for having a terrible product produced? You go back to the company and complain. Well, you're effectively complaining to the Chinese government. They don't care. They don't care. They're not going to do anything about it. And that's how I look at it, is that company could do terrible work, but they're sending out so much work and they are backed by the communist government. They don't care. You're just going to keep getting bad parts. So.
Well, and I think I can guarantee you, at least from my experience alone, if I ever had a problem, I know somebody's going to answer the phone. It's on the machine.
And it'll be me.
There you go.
I'm the receptionist too.
She's actually asked me more times if there's anything that has come up with my parts, more times than I've ever had. I've never actually had an issue with a part, but I've had questions before, but she's asked me more times than I've ever thought about it. So that goes to say a lot about the integrity there. So if somebody wants to place an order with Summit Machine, what do they need to do?
So if it's a stock part, which is nothing custom, so links are considered custom because we make them to every build. Again, not being an off-road company, I don't make things pre-made on the link side. So if it's a stock parts, our joints, all of our Heims, we are a distributor for a couple of big Heim companies, Heim Hardware, that kind of stuff. Go to the website, give us a call, shoot us an email, send us a DM. We can handle it that way. If you're ordering links, then we just need to talk ahead of time so that I can get all the details from you. I do like to take the time to discuss with people a little bit about their build to make sure what they want is going to be a good match for their builds. Because sometimes, there's a little bit of an education process if someone is new to aluminum. There's a little bit of an education process if someone's new to our joints. So just sort of getting them, having a conversation. I'm still old enough that I like to talk to people on the phone.
Yeah, I found when I was building mine, speaking of little things, like depending on which brackets you might be using, if you're fabricating everything yourself, it's not really an issue. You can set up your brackets to the size of the Summit Machine joints, the head of the joint. But if you're buying brackets, there are different companies that have different, they say they fit the large joints, but everybody's large joint isn't the same size joint, even though they say there's a specific measurement. I think it's like 2.6 something that people are always using for the size of the joints.
Yeah, 2 5/8 or 2.625 is the mounting width.
Right.
Very common in the.
So they tell you that, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes into the size of the joint than just that.
There is.
But if that's usually when most of the companies are selling brackets, that's how they advertise it, though it fits this joint, right?
Yes. Yep.
But your joint versus rock crawler, Curry, or any other joint is going to be very different. Or a half K Heim, for example.
Yeah, the one dimension, I've come up with the term, this is I think just a me term, I call it mounting depth of the bracketry. Mm-hmm. So your center of bore to the back side of that bracket is a critical component to making sure our joint fits, because the head of our joint is a little bit bigger in diameter than a lot of others on the market. Like our large joint, like you're running, it's a 3 1/8 diameter head. So you need 1 9/16 from center of bore to crown to be able to clear that joint in the bracketry. Sometimes bracketry only has 1 3/8, and if they're tabs, sometimes it's center of bore to your axle housing or center of bore to your frame. Sometimes it's an enclosed bracket. It's already been designed. And so there's a backside there. Somebody may be able to grind a little out and give you some clearance, but that mounting depth is what I call it. That can be a little bit obstructive when people are going from like a Johnny joint or a rock crawler joint to a Summit joint.
When I built my suspension, I went with mine's a Gen Elite suspension, and I believe it was the rear uppers. I had to make some adjustments to my brackets, but it's perfectly possible to make them work with some of the best brackets that are out there. I've seen it done, and I've done it myself. So, but anyway.
Can I just touch on one thing in regards to that really fast?
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that Summit does, and I implemented this years ago, because I know what it feels like when you buy parts and they just don't fit right away. There's a little bit of disappointment there or frustration. I try my best to alleviate that with anybody who's going to move to our stuff. So I will send test joints out, no cost. So if somebody's calling us and they're moving from another joint to ours and they don't really know for sure if our joint is going to fit or if they're going to have to do some modifications, I'll send them a test joint. I even include a return label with that test joint, so there's no shipping cost on their side. I just ask that they get it back to us within 30 days because I only have so many. But yeah, so we send those out so people can mock things up and check it out before they make a financial commitment to our stuff.
Very cool, very cool. That helps out a lot if you're building in your garage and you're trying to get it set up right. I know when I did mine, I didn't even think about it. I just ordered everything, and I probably now if I was doing it again, that's probably the route that I would go. Not that I didn't figure it out. I was set on making Summit Machine work, whether I had to fabricate this one bracket myself. Sometimes that's a matter, or you can just modify the bracket.
No, it's been a good thing. A lot of people have really appreciated because often, all too often, I wouldn't say often, too often, I'm low on inventory and people are waiting on joints. So while they're waiting for us to get our next batch finished, they can be checking their setups, checking their fitment, make adjustments. So by the time the arms and the joints go out the door, things are ready to bolt in and go out the door, and they don't really have to address anything more. They're ready to go. So
Okay.
it's worked out.
Okay, well, so if you want to get in hold of Summit Machine, the best way to get a hold of Summit Machine is
Phone, email, or social media. So 801-860-7760 is my number. Sales at Summit Machine. You can email over anything. Any of the social media outlets. I've got on the company side, we've got our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and I also Tiki-Taki. So you can send a DM there. I also have my personal business page under Summit Julene. I'm constantly talking to people there, so any of those outlets work just fine.
perfect. Okay, I got a couple of lighter questions to end the interview.
Oh,
It's going to be fun. Those are just kind of yes, no, single questions.
okay.
If you're going to, say, an off-road event, are you a camping or hotel person?
Oh, camping.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Do you like electric, gas, or diesel vehicles?
Gas.
Okay. And there was one more I had. Oh, what's your favorite season?
Fall, because it's my birthday.
There you go. All right, well, that's all I have, but it's been a pleasure talking to you as always.
Same here.
And if you need any links or joints, go ahead and get a hold of Summit Machine. If you want to check out their social media or any of their pages, we're going to add links and hashtags on the episode notes, and you can get a hold of them. That's it.